Good morning. Well, there's the number, there's the reaction. And what does this mean? So I see this pattern as just being a big mess for now. I mean, it is what it is. I know it's a mess. Um, Let me get this drawing thing out here. But what are we going to do with it? So something like this consolidation that we see over here, um, little trading range. Really, we have to wait. We've seen this market have reactions, wild reactions, and give them all back or come to bottoms and rip back up again. And so now for the start, we've got a negated sell set up here. Prices are up above the high. The question is, can it hold on to this by the end of the day? How much does it pull back? And we go through the same process. While that's not a done bar, we've got a wide range bar and possible, I wouldn't call it an igniting bar. It's a continuation pattern. So in any event, it's a wide range bar. Can it stay in the upper half? Does it close up here? So that's what we want to see at the end of the day. Resistance is not far off. So it really doesn't make any sense to entering positions in patterns like this at all, as I see it. And the Dow would be even worse since it's run up to the prior high. What we want to look at, if this is going to be a tradable low, what we want to look at has been what's crushed and things that are down near support, so that we know if we're wrong, which is possible in schizo market. You're not chasing something up that is, not having the potential to move through areas of resistance since they're down so much. And I think that's what big money institutions will want to look at more than they'll rotate, right? So we look at, the Dow and what's in that. You can see this running up toward this prior high, and maybe it actually gets up to that prior high since we're getting this igniting thing here. And well, it's up near, I guess, the week's high, right? That's exactly, look at the cursor on the daily chart. So it's going to gap up if it holds on to this gain. You can see the momentum slowing down there on the 5-minute chart, and it's right up at this prior high. Haven't looked at this in a few days, but you can see, look to the left up there. That's where it bounced for, and now it's gapping up, and it's in this little consolidation. Again, can it hold on to the gain here today? Okay, we'll see. Let's drag this up for alert near the prior low, and SPY. And we've got this messy pattern going on here. So we had the strength, it pulled back, started to make the lower high, maybe could have rolled over. For the moment, it's negating this high, and same story, we'll just have to see. It's gapping up into this resistance area here. You can see the cursor there on the 5-minute chart. Gapping up into resistance. The top of the pivot highs there are a little further away, so maybe it'll rally a little bit more. I mean, to buy something like this, I would want to see a correction bar, some kind of a wider range bar up here where it spikes down and then moves back up again. Since things are extended, it's a terrible place to be entering new positions. And we'll see, if it pulls back, if it can create support. Same story, can it in the upper half? So what it really should do, since it's gapping up here, if it pulls back, it should try and hold 380. Since, about the top of the red bar, so it's gapping above it. And, we had a discussion, I think it was yesterday in the green room, about the concept of resistance becoming support and vice versa. So, this high, first reference point of resistance is the prior day's high. I think that's our systematic objective analysis. So it's gapping up here, right? It's gapping up here. So pulling back, would it stop at that pivot there? It wouldn't be very far. That would be bullish, but coming down into this area and near a whole number of 380 would be a pretty good, I think, area where buyers should want to step up to buy a pullback. And with patterns like this, you have to believe or anticipate that, with this crazy price action, that there are going to be some sellers that'll be happy to get their money back. So could be kind of whippy early in the morning here, which would make sense, but we'll see. Now SPX for today. Downside you might think is a no-brainer in this market. I'm not so sure. Last I looked, and maybe there's a little bit more, there was premium at 37.25, which is a good place, considering prices are gapping up here, 37.25, and maybe if things pull in a little bit, that'll increase. But down here near these lows, and as I look at these things and think about a credit spread, as we always do, would it be conceivable that it would go down there today? Right? And that's where we start. And we all know anything's possible. But is it conceivable with prices gapping up here that they'd go all the way back down there? Something horrific would have to happen. And the news is out, so I would think no. But maybe things pull in a little bit and can get down a little bit lower than that. I'm looking at 37.25 now. It's 80 by 95. And so if things come in a little bit, it would be normal for there to be some selling at the open since things are up as much as they are. So there's enough premium that far away, and you got support right there. Plenty of distance for prices to start to come in for you and do that analysis. That's exactly, McGraw. So getting further away from that, yesterday's low is like 37.44. And if you want to get that close, well, 37.35 is 95 by $1. So, look, 37.30, 37.25. I would believe that if things start coming in at the open, the quarter is as long as it happens early on, that'll increase in premium. And I said the upside, which came lower a little bit, I had 39.60, which is now, it's lost some of what it was earlier when I looked at it. But I think anything above 39.50, should be, it's above this pivot high, and 39.50. You can see my cursor, is up here. And that's far enough away also. All right. What is more likely or possible to be a bottom, because it's a bottoming pattern, is what's been crushed. This is a bottoming pattern. Assuming this is a wide range bar, this is where I want to look for things that have been crushed, wide range bar, day's not over, but red bar ignored, bottoming tail bar, retesting the pivot, this congestion over here. But look, if this is going to hold here today, yeah, this will whip around here as it tries to get through it. But bottoms, once made, they get through areas like this. And so that's got to be the belief that we have. Again, assuming that this closes with a bar like that. Well, that, Alex, just so people on the internet know what I'm referring to, Alex said that the euro may be turning a corner. And what does that mean to us if you're not trading the euro? It means the dollar may be turning the corner. And that is more influential to the broader markets and supportive. So this has been a big, messy, whippy pattern, and you got this bar here, so maybe that can go higher. But as we've been looking on a daily basis, this held the lows. And so now you can see it's breaking below. So what we want to see here today from, the bullish point of view or a bottoming point of view is it stay below here. And if it does that, it's going to be supportive of what's been crushed the most, technology. So looking at semiconductor stocks, right? I mean, they've been grinding up here. I don't really care for this kind of pattern. Things that are testing prior lows rather than grinding up into resistance. But, this is gapping up to that pivot high. So that's not attractive at all. But, institutional favorite, which has been crushed, that kind of led the way up. Maybe, and I'm just thinking of, and looking at stuff, AMD, it's lagged, but that's gapping up to resistance. So in no way do I think this is going to be a no-brainer entry point early on. So, things are up at resistance areas. They could go up a little bit and start coming back down. And we've seen plenty of round trips, I'll call it, in this market, where things run up, they run back down, they run back up again. So requires being attentive and nimble. And interesting, the dollar's down, so it makes sense. This is moving up. It's been going up for a while as the dollar came down. We've covered that. And of course, gold up at resistance areas. No place to be entering. Crude oil coming down to support, was up at resistance, just whipping back and forth, back and forth. So I guess the market would like to see this break lower. So one of the things that we'll certainly keep an eye on, Bitcoin, as everybody knows, it's been destroyed. It's not near support. That's not much of a bounce. You can just imagine being caught in this horrific move to the downside. And this is an ongoing story. Who knows? Somebody coming to the rescue here. Typically, if someone was coming to the rescue, they're going to do it at a more opportune level, like somewhere down here where it would make sense to get the biggest bang for your buck for whatever a rescue scenario could be. Where if it was down here and that type of news came out, it could soar back to 20,000. So this little blip up, until proven otherwise, I think is meaningless. So this is something, this starts to drop. It's what, this drop that began this day early on while the markets were up is one of the things that dragged it down. And then the dollar moved back up. So you got to be watching these moving parts. It's certainly not a market environment for a novice, and they might get lucky on one move and then or just totally annihilated because of the volatility. What a mess this is. This is just not the kind of patterns that we've seen historically that starts a meaningful move. But if this closes like this, that'd be a huge positive. And then what I would want to see is some type of retracement that will happen, or sideways price movement. But this is just a mess. This nasty move down, the negation of this, you would think part of this is probably short covering, but we'll find out as the day progresses how bullish traders want to be. And what else could we look at? Of course, the transports. Well, that's actually showing something this morning. It typically doesn't, gapping up into resistance. So it's I think it's gonna be an open to just stand aside and see how this unfolds in the first few minutes. Um, this bottoming tail bar, you can see this the way it trades, just dots and dashes, but coming off of this, it reinforces the idea that whatever this news is, the market doesn't believe the Fed is going to start lowering interest rates. That's for sure. And we'll see. At least it's consolidating for now. And always look at the 5 to 10 year. So this is a big positive. So as we do every day, we start putting the pieces of the puzzle together to try and figure out, where things are going. And it's been difficult in the short term because of the erratic movement. But this is the kind of thing that you want to see to be looking out more intermediate term to say, and what's intermediate term? Well, in this market environment, it could be a few weeks, right? Versus, the day to day. But, this kind of slowing in momentum and a lower high and breaking these pivots, we talked about this getting extended, and you can see, the weekly here. Of course, we'll see how this ends on Friday. So just like we want to see today, does this wide range bar end with a wide range bar? If it pulls in, how much does it pull in? If it pulls in halfway the morning's gains, do buyers step up and push it back up to the high? So does it end with a tail bar on the top, spiders, Qs, and so on? Does it end near the high of the day where buyers stepped up in the middle of the day, which shows additional confidence, to buy the pullback? Not because there's now a void below because of the move up, and the same thing here. Right? Does this push up? Does it end back here? You see it holding the 50 MA. Self-fulfilling prophecy, but it broke the lows. So again, we'll see how all of this unfolds throughout the trading day and where they end. And the 10-year, moving back down. And let's just take a look here. This 30-year. So everything is moving together, and upward, the uptrend slowing, not broken yet, and we'll just see how this all unfolds by the end of the day. VIX down here at support. I'm not doing anything here at the open to see. I'm just going to sit back and see how this shapes up and how much it pulls back or it goes sideways. And I think that's the prudent thing to do. I think anybody that was long this and just based on the daily chart pattern, I guess maybe if you were going to average down, but this close to resistance, I think they're just going to be looking for any getting near this pivot high. Someone's going to sell. And of course, look, at the end of the week, if we see this, and I mentioned this earlier in the week, could this turn into a bear sandwich by the end of the week? And so as I look at patterns, I recognize what it suggests, and what would negate that bias. And of course, if this closes near the high, right, and then takes out this week's high next week, well, our bias would then be that this could get up toward the area of this tail bar up here, right, up here near the 200 MA. And with that, whether you buy, spiders or whatever, better off buying the Qs, even though, they're going to be near this overhead resistance there. Everything should move up to varying degrees. The question is, what are you going to get the biggest bang for your buck? And that's where we start looking at other subsectors and individual stocks and so on. Right? All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Well, we knew it was going to be a mover. I didn't expect this much. And, we talked a little bit about those. What happened there? I assume. We talked about possibly even doing a short strangle yesterday, which was buying out of the money calls and puts, looking for a big move like this.
Hey, Dan, hold 1 second, please. Someone in the chat on the internet said the bond market's closed Friday, which I wasn't aware of. What's the holiday?
Veterans Day?
Huh? All right, so just something to keep in mind. Yeah.
Yeah, veterans are coming up.
Thank you.
All right, so we were very cautious into this, knowing that it was going to move. And I kept saying, if you want to, jump in front of the number, this and that. And it's obviously paying off on the bull side. And yeah, I mean, if we hold this, I'm bullish, based on the fact that there's no meaningful retracement here. I heard every word Greg said, and I get it. I've been around the block many times, but I'm bullish right now. So it's just going to be a matter of how to get on board. It's going to be the challenge. But yeah, yesterday's low is the line in the sand, and trying to get on board in between is going to be the ticket. And yeah, beat up things. I mean, I got plenty of them. I've been watching for a while here. Gap and snap on Tuesday. Now it's up at these highs. This is a great candidate. Wix is on my list. The earnings trade gapping up. Well, the gap's too big, Alex. It's gapping more than 50% into this. But I posted my watch list for, I went through the earnings trades, and that was before this move. But look, before I was looking at this, it was gapping up to 34, let's call it. That is a beautiful, in fact, do you all remember me saying when we go over these earnings trades and they're in, ugly death trends like this? And I specifically said on this example too, if this gap's open at 34, it has a huge void above from a bottoming pattern. And the problem now is I wanted at 34. Now I'm not chasing at 36. So this gap and go is going to mess up a lot of my bullish patterns. So I don't like big gaps like this, because then it forces, the natural inclination is, FOMO, fear of missing out. Yeah, you know what, Nazar, I actually emailed that to Alex this morning. I did. I said, look, Nazar was right. So this was a biotech that looked fantastic. I actually shorted puts on it as a day trade here on Tuesday and made 50% max profit in an hour or two. And Nazar is pretty good at his fundamental analysis. He bought a put on this yesterday. It was expensive, but he bought an $8 put, and now it's $1.60 in the money. He says, yeah, they got a pending drug application, and he thought it was $10 puts. Wow, you're $3.70 in the money. Good job. So yeah, it's not my wheelhouse to do that, but good job. Avatar is asking about Meta 20 put. Yeah, Meta was on my list yesterday. 100%, but the problem is it's gapping up $5, so you're not going to get anywhere near the premium that you would have yesterday. But absolutely, Meta's been on my put spread watch ever since Monday on the gap up. But you're going to hear me whining more than usual, because we're going to have this. The gap's messing up many of my things. All right, we did short Zoom yesterday. We took 2/3 of our position though. So even with this gap up, we gotta, we're giving up our gains on the last third, but we're still fine with that. Boeing, we did a call spread, the 177. So even with this gap up, it's a bullish gap up, but at 173, we're still over $4 away from our short strike for tomorrow. So that should be fine. Let me just continue through here. Ferg, beautiful, and it's not earnings. I checked, but look, this is exactly the type of stuff that I am looking for new trades. Look at this beautiful bottoming pattern, bull new low divergence, made a new low, and it's not going down much. Gap reversal. It's up here at 115. I'd prefer it at 113 or whatever, but you got to deal with it. Deal with what's dealt to us. But this is tier one, beautiful, target 200. RH is not earnings, but this is another tier one for me, big old bottoming pattern. And now earlier today when I posted it, I didn't see any prints, but gapping up to 270. So that's perfect. Let's start off with a put spread. It's a breakout daily, weekly. Look at this monthly, it's potential double bottom. I think this is a core long, target $400. So that looks fantastic, but it's up a lot now. It's gapping up to 60, gapping up $15. But that's a tier one. So see, I'm giving us tier ones to watch. Mister got beat up with the Bitcoin mess. So the premiums are jacked for massive pain. So I got that on my watch list for put spread today. Yeah, hey Roger, yeah, you told me. RL 96, yeah, top of the range. I like my two better, Stephen. I like Ferg and Romeo Hotel better. 83. Oh, Lennar. The reason I'm showing you this is Alex mentioned Lennar and DHI yesterday, which I liked. And I don't got time to get into it, but the Lennar guy was on CNBC. They're building a big what do you call it? The laser printer homes, which I'm fascinated with. I don't think there's any public company that is in that yet. And if any of you know, please tell me. Because I from a belief in the product, I would like to find a chart that I like. Yep, Sepang gapping up. That's a pro gap. That is a pro gap. It's gapping over all this friggin' mess. Kind of a really sloppy inverse head and shoulders with a price avoid. So sure, that looks good. All right, Faru, that's Nazar's home run. DDS here. I would have loved it if it were gapping right to 240. Now we got to watch a pullback. But that's a gap breakout. We've got rising 2050 200. I just saw this after the market yesterday, this little marijuana stock. I missed this on Tuesday, but that was in a gap igniting breakout. So we got to watch that on a pullback. Wow, the AD line 2400 and rising. Server here, we're in. My up alarm went off. We're in this in our ETF trader. That's another beat up bottoming pattern. I'll reset the alarm up to 2980. Virtual homes. Yeah, see, I can't I can't enter meta right here now as a put spread, but maybe day trade. That's a very, very bullish pre-market. Bumble had earnings, got whacked. It's still a dog. Why did I get filled on? Alex, when you mentioned Len yesterday, I had shorted puts. I just got filled. Wow. Wow. I had a 20-cent bid to close them. I just got filled. Nice. This is a bullish gap, but it's at resistance, so no price void. This top of the range, no interest. Azul is an airline gapping down. That's ugly relative weakness. That could be a 30-minute low short. It's a bull sandwich on the weekly. Just day trade though. We don't swing trade things that fall from the top to the bottom. Jenny, now that's what we call a ugly sell set. I mean buy setup. The way it came down from overlapping bars and so forth. So that's a great example of a horrible buy setup. This is moving, has room to $7. These are all earning stocks here. PCT gave up the gap. That looks ugly. 6 bullish gap, but no price void. SLVM looks lower, but no great void. EPC. It's bullish, but that's kind of those prior highs. This is ugly. XMTR. Yeti, this was a tier 1 for me if it gapped at 34. So that's messing it up. I had posted a put spread. Cancel. No premium. So Yeti is gone, unfortunately. That's a range expansion. Watch that on a pullback. Pullback is good. This Ferg gap's too big. So let's watch that on a pullback. But that was another tier 1 trade. And it's fantastic. All right, W, that's the wrong symbol. What did I mean to put there? Wix is gone. Ring. These could be bullish bottoms, long, breakdown failure, climactic on the monthly. So these could be put spreads. Look at RH. That is a beautiful gap. I